When I was a child at the edge of the galaxy, I heard stories about a man who could forecast the future. But the story remained dark to me until many years later, until it became my story. Until it became the only story.
Listen, I gotta tell you, you play Harry Seldon. He is a man that can accurately predict the future. I think you are the acting embodiment of this, because every project you are a part of, from The Crown to The Expanse to Chernobyl, they're all successful. Are you able to predict the future? And if not, how are you able to pick these roles, and why did you choose this one?
Sadly, Nikki, I cannot predict the future. Although I did predict someone would ask me that question at one point during the 2 days.
I hate that. I feel predictable. Okay.
Why did I pick this role? Well, you know, after Chernobyl, I was looking for something to follow that up. And, you know, David, he pitched me this story that was this huge, epic sci-fi story that unfolded over 1,000 years across the entire galaxy with this sort of amazing, diverse cast of characters that took place in all these different worlds, and that I was the lead of, and smack bang right in the center of the story. And then he sent me the first 2 episodes, and yeah, I was hooked. They were so well written. I was on board.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I didn't get a chance to ask David about this, but maybe you can speak to it, because you have worked on all these epic projects. I mean, The Crown, that alone had a huge budget. This, to me, is visually one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen. And you get a sense of the size and scope. As an actor, can you just speak to how big a production this was, how ambitious it was? And he pulled it off. Yeah.
A lot of people pulled it off. Yes. But he was given the resources to pull it off, and that's important, because you know, if you're going to try and tell a story of this size, you have to be supported. You know, so we are aware of big storytelling now, so the bar is pretty high. I think the other thing that was important was that one of the decisions that David made was that he wanted as many of the effects, if you like, to be practical. So he didn't want, we weren't acting on CGI sets. You know, it was sets, it was practical sets, it was real costumes, real interaction, and that helps a lot as well, because it's got to feel grounded. You know, it has to feel as though these worlds could exist. Yeah. So I've got to say, by the way, I'm just loving your the shade of your fingernails with the plants behind you.
I thought you were going to say my jewelry that's all sci-fi.
No, because the color matches. Yeah, it's a nice little touch.
Thank you very much. So let's see how predictable this question is. There is cloning.
Okay.
There is cloning in this series.
Yeah.
If you were to hang out with a clone of yourself, do you think you'd get along? And what age clone would you like to hang out with?
Yeah. Oh, my Lord.
I didn't expect that response. Oh, Lord.
Wow. Would I like to hang out with myself? Gosh, did not expect that question. You know, the younger Jared was pretty hard-headed. I don't know if I would get frustrated with talking to someone who thought they knew how to do it already. I could certainly give them advice, though. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a kind of tough question.
What is the advice?
Well, I presumably the patterns of our life would be fairly similar, and I could try and help them avoid some pitfalls. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, it depends what mood he was in. Like, fun Jared would be good. You know, and he can be pretty entertaining to go out with, and to go out on the town with and have a few jars with. Yeah. sulky Jared would not be good.
Okay, got it. And the age? Just the second part of the question, the age of what?
Oh, the age.
You could go older, you could go younger, whatever you choose.
Yeah. Well, if I hung out with an older version of myself, I could maybe get some tips on the future.
You're familiar with my work, psychohistory?
Every mathematician has read your theory.
It's not a theory. It's the future of mankind expressed in numbers. And the Empire won't like the future I predict.
Well, you are such a breath of fresh air in this series. I loved watching your performance. A lot of this series really revolves around Gaal. There was one scene that it's such an incredible series to look at. So I can't even imagine what the budget was, but there's one scene where you're holding your breath, you're underwater, and there's this sort of water like flowing around you. Wondering how long you can hold your breath and if that was a challenge or how did that go?
I mean, my dad and my brothers are spear fishermen, so they kind of go underwater and hold their breath the whole time. Like literally, my dad can hold his breath for like 3.5 minutes. I mean, I'm making that up, but I'm assuming it's like that long because they like dive down meters, like 25 meters, ridiculous to fish. Yeah. So that is something that's like my dad kind of helped me out with like how to hold my breath and do all that like underwater stuff. So that was really, really cool. I can hold my breath for long enough.
Yeah.
But Gaal can hold her breath for a lot longer, so she's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, she is impressive, and she's been so updated from the books, obviously.
Cool.
Can you talk about that that aspect? Like, did you source anything from the book to get inspiration from you for your character in particular?
No, I mean, my character in the books is not very fleshed out. You know, it's very short and sweet, their appearance. But I think I'm very grateful that my character is a lot more fleshed out and has a lot more to her in this series. And I think it's super important because she, you know, introduces the audience to all the characters and the story and kind of to all the worlds. And she's the constant voice that you hear. And I think that's super important because it kind of has, you know, it's the singular thread that kind of keeps it all together, which is a great thing, and hopefully has the effect of, you know, that it will keep things together for the audience as well.
It does, definitely. I'm wondering, when you first either read the books or found out what was in the vault, did you have any idea? Did you guess correctly? Were you on the right track?
I was shocked. I didn't read the books. I read the script before I read the books. So I read the first couple, I think. But I was literally, I could not put those script down. I think it took me 2 days to read like 10 episodes worth of scripts, and it was just so brilliant. I was like in awe. I was so happy with them. And the story is just insane. I was a fan before we even started filming. So
Wow.
yeah, so of the script they were, yeah.
There's a line in, I think it's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but saying, "Are you happy?" So I'm wondering, as an actress, because you did have so many scenes, so much range, there's relationship, there's the epicness. What was your happiest moment as an actress filming?
Oh, wow. The whole thing was unbelievable to me. I think I did this thing. It's funny. I recorded myself before, at the beginning of every day, I have this little like video diary on my phone. So I can look back and like see exactly what I had that day and how I was feeling and all that stuff. And like every single one, even if I was tired, I was like, I'm just so excited to do this and I'm so excited to do that. And I've done so much more in this one season than I could have ever imagined I would have done in my whole entire career. So I'm happy. This is great. I'm so happy.
So last question. We know you can't tell us what's in the vault. What's one thing that's definitely not in the vault?
Oh, one of Gaal's jackets is definitely not in the vault. One of Gaal's amazing outfits. She's keeping all of it. She's got her hands on them. She's not letting those go.
History is littered with charlatans and false messiahs.
We should kill them. We can murder the man, but what about the movement, brother? Martyrs tend to have a long half-life.
I have a really pressing question for you. What is with you in the color blue in your characters? We're talking about Ronan and now this. What is happening with you in this color?
Well, I mean, God, you're really getting right to the heart of matters right here, aren't you? You're right. What is with the color blue?
No, but the real question is, this is such an incredible costume. One of the most amazing costumes I think I've ever seen. I loved it. It was mesmerizing. It was powerful. Like the first time you put it on set and walked in, how did that inform your performance, or did it?
Absolutely. Can I tell you a little secret about the costume?
Please.
So, do you know this? It is powerful. It does project that thing. One of our inspirations for that armor
Yeah.
was like ancient Roman glass. Do you know that those very fragile things that you'll see in the Met Museum, that blue, there's a picture of a piece of glass that we looked at that's a little bit opaque. And I think that in a way unlocked a key to what the Emperor is for me. That it projects this kind of extraordinary power, but it's a very, very fragile thing.
Wow. I love that answer. Was there ventilation at the bottom though?
Of that costume?
Yeah.
No. There's no effort towards comfort. I mean, that costume is not the most comfortable costume I've ever worn. I would kind of end a day just being like, oh, but that feels appropriate to me. You shouldn't feel comfortable holding that much power, right? You're right. You shouldn't. But the other costumes I have are extraordinarily comfortable. And I remember saying to the costume designers, like I think it's like he's not dressing for anyone, you know? He's just like
That's like a thing that people do in 2021. I'm just dressing for myself. I'm dressing for me.
Yeah.
I have a question about cloning. You play Brother Day, there's Brother Dawn, Brother Dusk. If you were to be cloned in life, do you think you would get along with yourself? Because in this series, you kind of have to hang out with your clones, and it doesn't always go so well.
No, it doesn't go so well. I mean, I think that felt pretty right when I was doing it. So to have to say the answer is on some days I would hope to get along, and on a lot of days I think there would be friction. I think it's like that's one of the things that I found most interesting about him is that I'm not really playing a character. I'm playing a series of men holding this role. Right? So these men, whether they, and now they don't know that they're individuals, really. What they know is that they're the same man, but they're looking at, Day is looking at Dusk saying, I'm going to do this better than you. I feel like where you made mistakes, I will be great. And he's looking at Dawn saying, it's the galaxy, depends on you being exactly like me. Exactly, following my footsteps to the letter.
Almost
These
scary.
are the lines. This is the blocking for the role you're about to inhabit. So,
okay. So one of the big mysteries of this series is what is in the vault. I know you cannot tell me what is in the vault, but tell me something that is definitely not in that vault.
I would be afraid to say something right now, and then in a future season, David Goyer's going to put it in the vault, and someone's going to call me a liar. But a cheeseburger probably isn't in that vault. Like a really delicious, perfect cheeseburger, right?
My mind is blown because I almost just said to you, what about a cheeseburger? That's why I'm like flipping out right now.
No, really?
Yeah.
You're serious?
I'm serious.
Oh, wow.
So what's the plan?
Many years from now, if humanity is to climb from the ashes, the coming generations will need the knowledge to build upon, a foundation.
Everybody wants to know what is in the vault. It is such a big mystery, a big secret. You're the only character that can kind of get close. But can you tell me something that's definitely not in the vault?
I can tell you what is definitely not in the vault, and that is a hot meal. The vault is like a proper enigma, and finding out what's in it is going to be really exciting, I think, for the audience.
Well, I think it's
like
exciting.
Quite bombshell.
Yeah, really? Oh, really?
Mm.
By the way, episode 6, you ruined me. So much emotion, incredible performance.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm wondering from you, what did you, because this is based on a series of incredible novels, what was something that either you can choose, either you definitely wanted to keep true to the book in your performance, or something that you wanted to really bring to it in 2021 that would modernize it?
I really love Salvor's attitude towards people, and the way that Salvor's super cocky and not afraid to speak their mind. And so I really enjoy bringing that to Salvor. And I had many opportunities to do it, and trust me, I did it.
You did, and then some.
I did it. I tried my best anyway.
No, absolutely amazing. part of the premise of the show, and it's so hard to explain, is that it, basically this foundation is set up to ensure the success of future generations, either through science, through culture. If you were to put one item in your foundation, either a piece of art, music, a movie, science, a gadget, what would you choose?
I would choose, actually, no, I actually have what I would choose with me right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I would choose a Rubik's Cube. Because I think that they challenge you to like keep focused, and they always give you something new to do, because it's never the same. Every time you solve it, it's never the same.
Can you actually solve it?
I can, yeah.
Can you really? If we had enough time,
Yeah.
how fast can you do it?
I can do it like 1 minute 45. But
Oh my God.
on set, loads of people on set would like saw that I could do Rubik's Cube, and someone who works in VFX, like they did it as well. And so we would sit there between takes and like do the Rubik's Cube, and then see who could do it fastest. But I think I was fastest, actually. 1 minute 45.
Well, if you brought it, I would hope that you were the fastest. I really wish we had enough time. I would just have you do it. But I know I still have more questions for you. So
You go
I know
ahead.
that when David pitched, are you going to work on it? This is amazing. I know when David pitched this series to Apple, he did it with one sentence and got it sold with one sentence. So, there's so many fans that are excited about this series, but for people who don't know Foundation, what is one sentence you would use to sell it to the audience, or describe what Foundation actually is? Because it's so epic. There's so many novels.
I would say Foundation is set in the future, in a universe where there's a lot of things going on, and humanity's at a breaking point, and there are a team of people who are trying their best to ensure that humanity continues, existing. And it's emotional, it's incredibly beautiful. There's human connection, and there's something for everyone.
We must preserve only the most essential pieces of civilization, deciding what is remembered, what is forgotten.
First, I wanted to ask you, this is going to be such a cheesy junket question, but would you want to know your future and the future if you had a choice?
Oh, no, definitely not.
You wouldn't?
No. Well, I mean, that's not going to help you, is it? I mean, you start worrying about, can I change it? Can I not change it? Does that mean I should do this? Opportunities to second guess yourself, I think, are not at least what I would like to have. I like muddling around in blissful ignorance is much better.
That was so British and so well put. I absolutely love it. Harry Seldon plays your adopted father in this, and he is supposed to be the most brilliant person in the galaxy. Who is the most brilliant person you yourself have ever met?
Oh, goodness, the most brilliant person I've ever met. Gosh, that is difficult.
Into your head. Somebody had to have come to your head.
I've had the fortune to meet lots of brilliant people. I was thinking a good answer would be my mum.
Oh my God, I love it.
I'm feeling that.
Shout out to Mum.
Today. Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Mum, because I went around today and she fed me and sent me away with lots of little packets of food for me to take home. So right now, there's no brilliance that shines brighter than hers.
Aw, well, let's talk about dads, because I was talking to David, and he told me that actually he promised his late father that he was going to make this series, and that they watched it together as kids. Given that you have like a father-son relationship, did that come into play at all? Did he talk about that? And if not, your character brings a lot of the emotional resonance, whether it be a relationship, father-son, your love relationship. Talk about that, sort of bringing the emotionality to it.
Yeah, I think it's important when you have a story that is so epic in scope. It's important to ground it in those personal, humane, interpersonal elements. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's something that I think gives us a touchstone and a way into this world. You see that, okay, it looks different and the technology is different, and goodness, instead of our planet, these people are operating in a galaxy peopled by various different worlds with all sorts of different cultures. But the thing we can connect with are people going through their lives, trying to make the right choices, trying to work out where they fit in this wider cosmos, I suppose. I mean, there has to be a kind of emotional resonance that we can tap into as an audience, I think, not to just be spectators sitting back going, oh goodness, what an amazing light show.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So
Right.
so it's lovely to have those personal and kind of humane elements in Rach, you know, for me to play. But I think it's not just in Rach, you know. That's one of the things that really drew me to Foundation. Reading those scripts, it was clear to me there's a concern with the psychology of the characters. There's a concern with their motivations, their objectives, what they're going through, and how we fit as individuals within a kind of larger system, a larger structure, whether that's society, whether that's, you know, within your job, your professional responsibilities. In Rach's case, he has responsibility to Harry, both personal and professional. How do you juggle these things?
Right.
You know,
I'm asking a couple of people today. Basically, the Foundation is something set up to bring science and culture forward for future generations to help them. If you could personally choose one thing to put in your foundation, movie, book, song, what have you, what would you choose?
This feels like a not very imaginative answer, but I'm going to say it all the same because I think it's wonderful. I would say the complete works of Shakespeare. That sounds so cheesy and so like archetypally British, but I'm doing a production of Romeo and Juliet at the minute, and so I get to say some of the most wonderful words I've ever read, sort of every night or every couple of however many times a week. So it's fresh in my mind, but I think he writes with such humanity. Again, you know, I think people think of him as a great poet and these stories that we all know and all the rest of it. But, you know, you go and watch a piece of Shakespeare, or you sit down and you read it, and I think you become aware of someone who is really paying attention to the world around him and how people navigate it. And that's the thing that is
wrapping you
encouraging.
Real quick, going from Shakespeare and this incredible language and this incredible scope of this show, but if you could tell the audience in one sentence, what is Foundation about? For the people who don't know the books, what would the one sentence you would use be?
Foundation is about all sorts of people with different views on how to do so, trying to save mankind.
Wars will be endless. 1,000 worlds reduced to cinders. Change is frightening, especially to those in power.
Congratulations on this series.
Thank you.
Not only did you manage to make it so epic, but it also feels very intimate at the same time. My first question is, I know that you pitched Apple with one sentence. They said to you, give us a one sentence pitch, and you sold it. So what is it, do you think, I'm condensing the story, but in the interest of time, what do you think it was that had them go, yeah, we're doing this? Or was it just your track record of being such a great writer?
I'd like to think some of it was my track record. I'd like to think some of it was the foundation, no pun intended, of the books. But it was just the idea of doing a truly epic story that the audience, a streaming audience, could dig their teeth into, and something that was about family, that was about the future, about the, you know, sacrificing yourself for the human race. And I just promised them, this is going to be emotional. This is going to make people cry. This is going to make people care. And fortunately, I think they were happy with what we did.
I mean, not only that, I don't even know what kind of budget you must have had, because it is the most spectacular series I've ever seen. It is gorgeous. Talk a little bit more about that, because you did update these novels. They were written in the 1950s. You swapped the genders of some of the characters. You updated, you modernized it. You made it sexier, which I appreciated. The relationships, like you had the emotion, but also give the fans what they want here. Fans of the books, what are they going to get that they're going to love, that you paid homage to?
I count myself as an enormous fan of the books. My father gave me the books when I was 13 years old. He said it was the greatest piece of science fiction ever written. There was a tremendous amount of responsibility on me personally. Before he died, he made me vow that I would try to make this, and that's a true story. But as you said, the original novel was written in the late 40s, early 50s. It was reflecting a post-World War II environment. Obviously, we live in a very different world, and so we have to reflect the environment of today. And that was the primary reason for gender flipping some of the characters, because we want the cast of Foundation to reflect our global audience.
Right. There are a lot of, I know that George Lucas was inspired also by these novels, and there are a lot of things that are inspired by Star Wars, but there are very few things that inspired Star Wars. I noticed a few vehicles, you've built an entire world that is so unique, but did you intentionally go, okay, it is what it is? Because a few vehicles and a few structures do look a little Star Wars-esque. In a good way.
If you think of the broad science fiction that we know of, it's Star Wars, Star Trek, maybe a little Alien, and it's difficult to get away from some of those design influences. I tried my best when we were designing things. A design would come in for a vehicle or a spaceship, and I would say 2 Star Wars, 2 Star Trek, 2 Alien. A couple of things snuck through. And don't get me wrong, I love Star Wars and Star Trek and Alien. We tried our best to do something a little different, but that's the high wire act. This is a work that influenced those works and now is being brought to screen, 30, 40 years after Star Wars, 50 years after Star Trek. I think by and large, we were able to do something fairly new and fairly groundbreaking, but there are homages here and there.
One last question before we wrap. I know you said you have 8 seasons planned, like 80 episodes basically.
In success. I don't want to be presumptuous, but yes.
If so, is there a character or a storyline for the fans of these novels that you are most excited to explore, assuming that you move forward? And after watching it, I have no doubt that it's moving forward.
I'm particularly intrigued to peel back some of the onion layers of Demerzel's character.
We are now staring down a barrel of a crisis.
This is the plan. I'm not turning around now.